So, how the idea of a reunion with Halloween? I mean, for very long time, it was completely out of the table.
Old. It was completely impossible for me for a very long time, and it was a very slow process. It's like in the '90s, I was on a crusade. I was disappointed. I was pissed about how everything went down, not just within the band. That was of course the main kind of thing, the main disappointment, but also the industry and what the metal scene was getting at me. It's like I was just overthrown with negativity. In my own world, I was just making an album. I was not trying to fake Halloween. I was just recording my songs in a very natural way. Like I think that's the way you should do it. And not everybody was against it, but I received some very dumb statements in certain critics, like doesn't sound like Halloween. Well, it's not trying to. It's like I kind of got fed up with everything and very disappointed about it. How little it really is about true music and expressing yourself. How much it really is just like the other music scenes too, to a certain extent. To a certain extent, in the end, today I understand a lot better why fans are like that. But in those days, I didn't. In those days, I felt attacked. I felt like that's the wrong thing to do. It was important for me. Those years were really good for me. I learned a lot in terms of shaping my personality and all that. Today, I know fans don't want to hurt you. They just know you and they love you for something that you've done. And when something you do is completely off, they're just disappointed.
Yeah,
And they express that. And I understand now, but in those days, I did not understand. I was like completely idealistic and.
yeah.
So the '90s were completely off the table for me. I don't even think Halloween would have cared in those years. It was going good for them. And to me, getting first steps into the direction of this type of music was definitely Avantasia. It was definitely Toby talking me into putting vocals on "Reach Out for the Light,"
Yeah.
these kind of things. And I rejected it at first. But he continued to call me up and convince me about it. And it was good that he did because I kind of realized I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. And after that, I did not join. I was not part of the first Avantasia tour. I rejected that. But after that, Serafino from Frontiers Records offered me not only a solo deal, but he was also offering this idea of Place Vendôme, like more AOR kind of rock type of music. If I would be interested in it, and I wanted to hear the songs. Yeah, it's cool stuff. That was another step with Place Vendôme. I got in touch with Dennis Ward, and then later on, Dennis and Costa showed up in Hamburg. I think maybe around 2008 or 9, I'm not sure exactly, and offered me or had this idea, why not making a real band, instead of just all project, making a real band. And so Unisonic started to happen. And then on the second Avantasia tour, I was part of it, and it was Costa who was managing Unisonic and me by that time, and he said, you should actually go on that tour because you haven't been on stage for over 20 years now,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing to get back, get a feeling back for being on stage because you don't have much to do in Avantasia. You just sing a few bits and pieces. I always call it paid holidays, really, because you don't do much, but it was perfect. It was a perfect bunch of people. It was great for me to get a feeling back, and I'll never forget the first shows we did in South America. It was amazing,
Yeah.
But on that tour, Kai Hansen was part. He was also there, so we kind of stood on stage together again, and there was this sort of magic going down. So we started to talk.
Yeah.
We should do something together again, and it ended up with him joining Unisonic. So that was another step. But still, I wouldn't care about any Halloween reunion or anything like that until in 2013. I was on another tour with Avantasia. It was a festival we played. I ran into Michael Wyckoff backstage, and he stood in front of me and he said, "What have I done that you can't forgive me?" That was his line. And I was like, I just noticed there was no more anger.
Yeah.
It was gone. So I said to him, you know what? I think I've forgiven you a long time ago. And that was a game changer inside for me in terms of Helloween. Still, we didn't talk about anything like that, at least not in my head. And it was another year later when I was playing 3 shows with Unisonic in Spain, here in Europe. And after one of those shows, it was great shows. The band was getting was getting very good by that time. And after one of those shows, Kai Hansen said to me, you know what, Michael, we just got to do something with Helloween one day, before we're getting too old. And I said, you know what, I'm open. And that's how it all started. After I said that, Costa was in the room. Costa was playing the drums with Unisonic. Costa is part of the Bottom Row management. He mentioned that statement to Jan Bajati, who was the manager of Helloween. Jan called me up and checked out how serious I was. And that's how the real thing started, Then I had like long conversations with Waiki on the phone. After that, Jan wanted me to fly over to Tenerife to spend some time with Andy because we didn't know each other. And Jan very truthfully said, if you guys don't get along, it doesn't make any sense. So I flew over and I spent like 2 weeks with him almost every day. And it felt like I knew him. It felt like, I've said that in many interviews now, but it really felt like I knew him. It's almost like a karma. I'm sure it is a karma connection somehow. But after that, going down that well, we actually did the first real meetings where we, and it was just about a tour at first. At first, we just talked about a tour. We only made contracts for a tour. And after that first tour, as hard as it was for me, health-wise, because I caught something in South America, and I carried it with me the whole tour. But even though it was a hard tour, we got along perfectly, and there was a great spirit on stage and all that. And after that tour in 2017, we started talking about a possible album, everything step by step. But as you can see, it was a process of many years to get points that I'm able to do that,
Se você curtiu esse vídeo, então não deixe de assinar o canal, ativar as notificações, deixa o joinha e aproveita para assistir aí algum dos vídeos antigos do canal, beleza? É isso aí, um abraço, valeu!